Okay, let's take a look at another example here. F of x, or f of theta, equals 1 minus 2 cosine 1/2 theta, and we're in radians. Let's go through what we know. Is this thing vertically flipped? Yes, it is. With my amplitude, it's 2. Now the period, right? Period is equal to 2 pi over b. In this case, b is 1/2, so we have 2 pi divided by 1/2 is the same thing as 2 pi times 2 over 1, which is 4 pi. So our period is 4 pi. And our midline is y equals 1. So let's graph this first and then come up with the 5 key points. I usually like to do that first. Okay, so our midline is y equals 1. So let's go up 1. And then our amplitude is 2, so we go up to 3 and down to -1. And this is negative cosine. Oops, before we do that, we have to do the period. So we know our period is 4 pi. And if we look at 4 pi divided by 4, then a quarter of the period is pi. And that's actually really nice to count by, right? Because 0 plus pi is pi. Pi plus another pi is 2 pi. 2 pi plus another pi is 3 pi. You see that? So it's really nice to come up with our quadrantal angles. Alright, now back to our graph. We are in negative cosine, so we start at the bottom, go up to the midline, up to the max, back down to the midline, and then back down to the very bottom, or minimum of the graph. Now we connect the dots, and that is 1 period of cosine of this particular function f of theta equals 1 minus 2 cosine 1/2 theta. Now we're not quite done yet. We need to list out our 5 key points. And so from left to right, we have 0, -1. We have pi, comma 1. Then at the max, we have 2 pi, comma 3. Back down to the midline at 3 pi, we have a height of 1. And then the very end of our period at 4 pi, we're down at the minimum again. And so those are our 5 key points. Alright, let's look at another example here. Now this is slightly different. Here we have f of theta equals -1 plus 2 cosine 3 pi theta. What do you know? We have all kinds of things going on in here. We'll look at that in a second. Is this thing vertically flipped? No. Our amplitude is 2. Now the period. So this time our b is everything but the theta. So this time our b is 3 pi. Okay? And remember that period is equal to 2 pi over b. So in this case, this is 2 pi divided by 3 pi. The pi's go away, so our period is 2/3. Okay? That's just a number. 2/3 radians. Right? Okay. That's fine. We don't need the pi's. Pi's are just numbers. Okay? And our midline is y equals -1. So this is shifted down. Alright, let's graph this. Our midline is -1, so we're down here. Our amplitude is 2, so we go up to 1 and down to -3. Okay, so this is 2/3. Well, what is 2/3 divided by 4, right? So we could figure out what a quarter of a period is. Well, that's equal to 2/3 times 1 over 4. This cancels, and so that's equal to 1/6. Okay? So, from 0 plus 1/6, this is 1/6, and then 1/6 plus 1/6 is 2/6, and simplified, that is 1/3, right? And so we have 2/6. Okay, so we have 1/6 plus 1/6. That gives us 2/6, which is 1/3, right? That's how we got this one. So 2/6 plus another 1/6 is 3/6, which is 1/2. So this right here is 1/2. Alright, and so now we have, this is 0, so we basically have enough to get our 5 key points now. But do you see how I did that? right? I know our whole period's 2/3, and then I figure out what a quarter is, and then I just keep adding that until I have all 5 of these points. Alright, so this is positive cosine, so we're going to start at the top, go to the midline, down to the minimum, back up to the midline, and back up to the max. Okay, and so let me circle our 5 key points so I can write them down. This time there are no pi's, no angles. It's okay. So our first point is 0, 1. Our next point is 1/6, -1. Then we're down to 1/3, -3. Back up to the midline, which is 1/2, -1. And then back up to the top, which is 2/3, 1. And those are our 5 key points, and that's our graph. Alright, now this is your turn. This is your video homework number 1. And so you're going to graph f of theta equals 2 minus sine 3 theta. And remember that we are in radians, so your period is going to be a little bit different than before, right? Because you're going to use the period is equal to 2 pi over b formula. And then once you find the period, you have to divide it by 4 so you can figure out what a quarter of a period is, and that will help you to draw your graph and to find your 5 key points.